On this week's episode, I'm joined by Alexandre Caldas. Alexandre is an award-winning designer, a business owner, and Alexandre is responsible for taking an iconic Portuguese chair, elevating it and bringing it back to life. And for those of you who have visited Portugal, you have seen this chair everywhere without possibly knowing that you've seen this chair everywhere. We discuss, amongst other things, Alexandre's upbringing and background and how it led him to the work that he's doing today, what he loves about living in Portugal and exploring different parts of the country, the interesting story behind the BICAchair, and how Alexandre is inspired by the old generation of craftsmen and craftwomen, the pride they take, the passion they take in their work, and how this has inspired him to use a hands-on approach in the way he designs. For those of you listening, head over to our YouTube channel to watch some of this episode. And for those of you watching, click down below and subscribe. And for the full podcast episode, go to Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, over to my conversation with Alexandre. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. And I'm delighted to be joined here by Alexandre Caldas. Alexandre, how are you? Thank you for being on the podcast.
Well, I thank you for your invite. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm good.
Alexandre, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about you?
Well, my name is Alexandre Caldas, and I'm a designer now. Although designer is what I do, but I'm not an academic one. So I learn being around furniture and being around the factory and being around, all the people that work in the field. Well, I'm living in Oeiras. It's okay.
Okay.
I live near the National Stadium when they do the final cup and everything.
Jamor.
Yeah, I'm really
I was there the other day.
Yeah, and it's a cool place to live. It's not in the center of Lisbon, but it's in the other side. But you're connected to all the country. So we just loved here, and then
very green, very green.
Lots of parks.
It's beautiful.
We have a door in our condominium. We have a door to the National Stadium. So we just opened the door.
That's cool.
And we're there. So we can ride a skateboard to the beach. We can go with the dogs, and it's perfect.
I mean, how did you get into this work that you're doing now? I mean, how did you? And you mentioned that you're a designer, not academically, but just by the actual working with your hands and trying. And so how did it work out that you got into this line of work, Alexandre?
Well, it happens that when I was 15 years old, my father came across a company where he works when he was a kid. And the company was bankrupt. It was finish of the line. And so my father decided to keep the company, to go to work there and try to do something about it. And so when I was a kid, I was normally in the vacations of the school. I would go to the company and help with the things we had to do. If you had to paint or cut wood or bend tubes or whatever. And I saw how the thing worked there and how the design came across and how they developed the things. It was back in the 80s. And so, since I was a kid, I was very interested, in making stuff with my hands, painting and that kind of stuff. And so at some point, I started to creating these new designs, new chairs, tables, and that kind of stuff. And in 2013, when the crisis came, in Portugal, and I needed to get a way out of it. And so I decided to create a Round the Tree. And the Round the Tree is a brand that it's based on design. And so at that point, I just, push all the strings, my background motions, and I say, well, I'm going to design, furniture. And at that point, I think I did a good job. Not saying by me, but we gained some international awards and stuff. And I realized, I can do that. I can try to find solutions for problems in the furniture and etc. and create something out of nothing.
But let's come back to the chair quickly. So it's called the BICAchair. You've got one behind you over there and one on your terrace on the one side and one on the other. Has it always been called the BICAchair?
No. The name that normally people know it's a Portuguese chair because it's like a national symbol. And we to this project we call it the BICA because the chair that we are working with the design, the original design, it was built and it was made in Lisbon. And so for Lisbon Cafe in the 1950s. And so, you know, probably you already heard when you want an espresso in Lisbon, you ask for a BICA.
Yes.
So in the north it's Cimbalino, in Lisbon
That's
it's
right.
so we thought, yeah, BICA could be cool because, you know, it was a chair from the Lisbon cafes, Lisbon Cafe, it's a BICA. And most interesting, I don't know if you know why we call it BICA. You
I
know
don't
why?
know, actually. I know the one in Porto is because of the name of the machine, right?
Yeah, Cimbalino, yeah. But
Cimbalino was the name of the machine that made the coffee. But Bika, I don't actually know. Why is it called Bika?
no, there is this legend. It's more real than a legend, but we had this probably because of the British. We have a lot of this taste for the tea. Okay, so we have a lot of tea, and when it came from the broad from Brazil and Africa, the coffee was very, how you say in English, amargo.
Yes, sour, bitter.
Yeah, bitter, a little bit bitter. And so the clients, when they receive the coffee, oh, this is a new drink we want to sell. This is new, and the people were like, "Oh, this is very bitter," and they didn't like it. And so what the story tells is that the owners of the cafe tell to the employees, like, go to the guys, to the clients, and tell them, drink this with sugar. So bica in Portuguese says it's the same, drink this with sugar. Beba, be
Isso
isto
com açúcar.
bica. So it was the drink that you should drink with sugar, bica. Beba isto com açúcar. So it's a cool name because it's Lisbon, it's bica, and the name is very. So we decided.
How important was for you to maintain the story of this iconic chair?
Well, I think stories are everything. You know, design is also a way of telling stories, and it's very important because I think that, well, if you talk about culture of a country, if you don't have stories to tell, well, what is it? You know, I think the stories are very important. So I think that the story is everything. If you don't have a story to tell, if you have a product or something, what is the value of it? You know, a big story, a great story. And Portugal, because of our history, and well, it's known around the world, we have a big chunk of stories that are hidden, like small secrets that we don't use it as a marketing tool. And it's cool because you are, you know, when people come here, that they find a lot of things.
That pride in craft, that pride in the hands-on approach, you know, touching and doing things with your hands is something that is so beautiful in the culture here.
It is, but I think I had the chance when we were in an event with the government, and I had the chance at some point to be with the prime minister because he loves I have a locus desk, a working desk, and he's crazy about the desk. So he came to me and said, "Alex, I love your desk." And we were having this chat, and he's telling me, "Alex, how can we do for not losing this craftsmanship? You know, these old people that have this craftsmanship is something of our identity, is very important for the things we do. How can we do it? Because we are losing it." And I say, well, we need a little bit of more marketing. So I think that we need in Portugal, probably in other countries, but in Portugal, it's my reality. And what we are trying to do now is to try to pick these guys that are around us, you know, building stuff, and take them with us to Isaloni, to Maison et Objet, to Paris, to, you know, to see the pieces there in Dubai or something. And when somebody asks us, where's the designer? Well, I'm here, and this is a master Adérito. He's the craftsman who did it. So I think that at this point we need to give this value, because everybody knows that, yeah, the craftsman is good, but no one knows the craftsmen, you know, where they are there. And normally they are closed in some garage or something. And I think that if we can do that in Portugal, that will be very cool, because the value could be different, you know, people that come to us and they could meet, you know, all these artisans.
Yeah. What are the and also after traveling so much, Alexandre, and going to so many countries, what is it that you appreciate about those moments where you get to see the real Portugal, the Portugal that a lot of people might not discover in a catalog?
Well, I think it's really interesting because, as I told you, I travel a little bit around the world, and I think that Portugal has this unique. It's a characteristic. I think if you travel from the south to north, it's 700 kilometers probably, and the diversity from Algarve, Alentejo, Ribatejo, Beira, Trás-os-Montes, Minho, it's really something. I think a few months ago I went to Switzerland and I just rent a car and go from one point to the other. And it's very cool, Switzerland, this green landscapes, very beautiful, the lakes, but it's the same from one point to the other. If you do the same in Portugal, you'll be amazed with what you find. So you have waterfalls, big forests, and then you find these landscapes near Mertola. There's some places that you think you're in Africa, in the savannah. And then you cross it, you have these cliffs in Algarve, and it's and so I tried to explore and I think I don't have time enough to explore. Even if when I die, I could live another 100 years. Because if you go in a road and you just let me take this one, you'll find something beautiful. If it's I don't know, it's something related to water or a landscape or food or whatever. But one of the things I've noticed at this point is we have a lot of people that come from other countries to Portugal, and they are getting in these villages and these places, buying some properties and getting sort of a community there as well. And that's one of the things I think it's really cool, not just, getting people in Lisbon, but I think most of the people that want to relax and be quiet. And let's be honest, if you want to come to Lisbon, well, it's 45 minutes or something, or 1 hour most, and you can be in Lisbon for a show or for an hospital or something. So we are very welcoming with the people that came from abroad. So I think it is something that we have. We don't like to see people suffer, and if they are discomfortable, we try to help them out. And I don't know, that's probably because we have a revolution when we take a dictator out of the power without even killing one person, and we do the flower on the gun. So maybe it's like that, because maybe we don't like to see people suffer, so we are constantly seeing if everything's okay and doing that part.
Alexandre, a question that we ask all of our guests: Portugal, the simple life, why? I
think that we live well with what we have. Okay, so normally you see strikes in France, and you see everybody lighting fire to the cities, and in Spain and whatever, and you don't see it here, because I think that, we live well with what we have. If you have less, you live with that. If you have more, you live with that. If you have a little bit less, you live with that. So I think that the simple life is a little bit like this, and it's cool. If you have a little bit more, if you can get more, you live well as well. If you don't can have it, it's okay. So I think that simple life is a little bit of that. You live with what you have, cool, without getting any riots or, just chill out.
I like it. Alexandre, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for the invitation.
You're very welcome, and I'm going to let you call it.
Okay, that's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.